Hello everyone, this is Aydin Camus and I'm an IELTS teacher at West London Tuition Academy. Today I'm going to be talking about reading, the reading module in IELTS test. Now, the reading module is one of the most difficult, one of the toughest modules in IELTS. And it comes with 3 passages and the length of the test, the reading part, is 60 minutes. One might think actually each reading passage should be allocated 20 minutes, but it's not usually the way it works because the first passage is usually the easiest of them all and the last one is the hardest. And the one in the middle, the second one, could be a little easier than the last one and a little harder than the first one. So the time you're going to allocate each passage is not going to be a clean, for example, 20 minutes. The first one usually should take like 18, 17 minutes. The second one, 20 minutes. And the last one should be given the longest amount of time you can. Like 20, 21 to 23 minutes, depending on however much or however long you have given the first and the second one. So try to basically divide your energy and your attention between the different passages in accordance to their level of difficulty. Now, for reading module, you need to basically build upon your skills and learn a few strategies in order to get a good score. As opposed to writing, which is basically based on your own ability and your own choice of words, reading could actually surprise you. Why? Because, there are so many different subject areas. They're going to give each passage to you. For example, the first passage could be on psychology. The second one could be on education. The last one could be scientific. The point is that reading module can come with a surprise, while writing can come with less of a surprise. Meaning that writing, whatever they give you, if it is, for example, academic or general, you're going to write a letter if it is general. And you're going to read some graphs and some charts if academic, and you will expand on what you see or what you read based on your own method of writing. With writing, you develop your own style of writing, be it academic IELTS, general IELTS, be it writing a letter or reading graphs or reading pie charts, bar charts, in order to develop your own writing in 150 words for task 1 and 250 words for task 2, you have your own style of writing. You can develop your own method of writing. You use the words you're most comfortable with. Use transitional words, the ones that you're most comfortable with, the ones that you have basically practiced with, and the ones that you know best. However, with reading, you can get a surprise. Why? Because, the texts, the passages they're going to give you can be something that you have never read about, something that you know very little about, or no matter how much you have prepared, you can always be surprised. For instance, there are so many different subject areas that you basically might not be familiar with or have little familiarity with. For instance, they can give you, about animal science, about different kinds of science, about psychology, education. There's so many subject areas. And also, not to mention the register of the language used in the passage. The choice of words can actually encompass a very large area of the language. So words to do with or expressions to do with psychology can differ dramatically from, for example, words that actually come in mechanical engineering. What you need to remember with a text, with a passage, is how abstract it could be. Some passages could be a little harder or a little more difficult to understand. Why? Because they're simply more abstract than, for example, other kinds of scientific passages. For instance, when they talk about education and psychology in education, Some paragraphs could be really difficult to understand. And the questions that they ask could be really confusing because you do not understand the relation between certain words, and those words in the context they come in could actually be very hard to understand, as those words in real life, in reality, could be easy. And the pressures of, for example, the time, the length of the passage could actually come down on you at the same time, making it really difficult for you to understand what you're reading. Time on the one hand, and then the length of the passage on the other can basically make you panic in the middle of the test. And of course, as you're panicking, you realize that understanding the test becomes increasingly more and more difficult. So it is very important to read intensively before the test day. By before the test day, I mean a year or 2 years even before the test that you want to take. Read as many sources as possible in different subject areas. For example, you want to read about tourism. Mostly tourism comes in general IELTS rather than academic IELTS. With academic IELTS, you mostly get psychological, educational, scientific tests. While in general IELTS, you mostly get texts to do with tourism, to do with advertisement, to do with, for example, I don't know, like health and fitness. Could be so many subject areas. In academic IELTS, you get, mostly you get specialized passages to do with political science, to do with biology, science itself. Could be about an invention. It could be about an educational approach. Could be about a mix of education and psychology. So basically keeping your options open and reading everything you can get your hands on can actually come to your help. One day, you don't know, you're reading about psychology, and during the test, you suddenly get something to do with psychology and education. So you know that you have read a few things about psychology, and that can come to your aid. Yeah, that can come to your rescue on the test day. Now, there are 2 major skills that you should be really good at. The first one is skimming, and the other one is scanning. What is the meaning of skimming? Skimming is to basically read as quickly as possible in order to get the gist of what you're reading. The passage itself is made up of, could be 8 paragraphs, 9 paragraphs, 10 paragraphs, and those paragraphs are not easy to basically understand unless you know how to skim, especially when you want to get a general idea as to what it is that you're reading. The second skill is scanning. After you skim, you go quickly to the questions, and then you read the questions, you come back to the passage, and you scan the passage for specific information, for specific facts. Those facts could be figures, numbers, names, it could be anything. And that's when scanning comes to your aid. It targets specific information or specific facts in the passage. Now, remember, skimming and scanning skills can actually help you get a good score, and you need to basically improve upon those skills, plus reading intensively. Reading intensively is very important. As many subject areas as possible. No matter what. Read every day, 1 or 2 articles. No matter what you can get your hands on, you just keep reading over and over again. Never give up on reading intensively. Thank you for listening.